Claudia. I guess I've been forced to the front of the line as the one who's, hey, there she is. Hey,
Here's Isabel.
Hello.
So to answer your question, Claudia, on paper, I'm the president of the Little Compton Housing Trust, but I don't like to hang my hat on that for what it's
Okay.
worth.
Actually, the story is he became president because he was absent for one meeting, and we stuck it with it. No, I'm kidding.
How are you, Isabel?
I'm doing well, thank you.
Good. So we have begun recording, and given that it is past 7 o'clock, we can begin this meeting. Welcome to everyone.
You should state for the record who's here.
Yeah, I should do that. No, we don't have to have everyone do so. I can do it for the
Yeah,
record.
you can just read the names. Mhm.
Okay. So present here this evening at 7:01, Susan Boddington, new member of the Housing Trust.
Hello, everyone.
Claudia McNeil, another new member of the Housing Trust. Bob Rotman, a veteran. and Isabel Mattia. Isabel Mattia, our secretary. So I'd like to thank you, Isabel, for the work you've done to prepare for this meeting as well.
Thank you for saying that.
It's a lot of work. The first item on our agenda this evening is to approve the minutes from our last meeting, that being December 10th. I know that Isabel had forwarded to everyone a copy of those minutes, and I guess 3 out of 5 of us here this evening were present for that meeting as members.
Right.
I don't know that there's any issue with voting to approve those minutes with only 3 members.
Well, that's enough, isn't it?
Yeah, it doesn't matter even if Claudia and Susan vote on it, because all their voting is to file them.
Very good. Okay, is there anyone who has any questions or issues regarding those minutes that Isabel had sent out?
Okay. No.
I'll just mention, I've been informed that my minutes are unnecessarily detailed. So they might start being a little bit more, a little shorter in the future. So hopefully still as accurate, but
Compliments for that.
look forward to shorter meeting minutes in the future.
I think it's a good idea.
With no questions or issues, do we have a motion to approve?
I motion that we approve the minutes as presented.
And a second?
Second.
That was Claudia.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 And let the record show it was unanimous.
Unanimous consent on that. Thank you very much. Moving on to the second item on this evening's docket is the treasurer's report. And as most of you know, Joan Shamshoyan has chosen to step down or not be reappointed, as the case might be. And for her years of service, we're grateful. But she, as the treasurer, had forwarded to me the most recent balance from Joseph DeSantis, who is the town financial manager. Apparently, I haven't had the pleasure of meeting Mr. DeSantis yet. But as of January 31st, 2021, the balance in the Little Compton Housing Trust account was $116,679.70. And that reflects a balance in January from building permit proceeds, or a portion thereof, in the amount of $6,083.20. So as many of you know, this account is based upon a percentage of proceeds from building permits in the town of Little Compton. Anyone have any comments, or observations, or opinions on that balance, or anything to do with the treasurer's report?
I think that's wonderful.
I was pretty surprised to see $116,000 in that account. It's been a long time coming, Bob, would you say?
I would say yes, it is.
Patrick, how much was in this account a year ago?
Well, without looking at my records, I would say it was likely less than half of what we're talking about now. I would say less than, say, $80,000, but I can't be sure about that without looking at my records, Claudia.
Okay, thanks.
So in the absence of any comments in that regard, we'll move on to our third item, which is to welcome our new members here tonight. And so I guess I first would like to thank you both, Susan Boddington, Claudia McNeil, for volunteering your time to serve on this very important board in town. And I'd like to give each of you a moment to speak, to say whatever it is you'd like to say. So if I may start with Susan Boddington, the floor is yours.
Okay, well, it's very nice to be part of this group, and I'm looking forward to being able to work with all of you. I've met several of you in the past, and a couple maybe not so much. I had a career in housing and community development. Retired in 2013 after 22 years at Rhode Island Housing. Financing affordable housing and homeless facilities, worked in community development with various cities and towns prior to that, and with the state. So I've had many, many years thinking about housing and working in various cities and towns around the state. And I look forward to, trying to work with this group and imparting whatever experience I have had in the past. I've lived in Little Compton since 1976. I have two children who grew up in Little Compton, went to Wilbur School. I now have two grandchildren. I have 5 grandchildren altogether, 7 and under. 2 of them are at Wilbur School right now. So I certainly have a real interest in this community and sort of, how it continues to develop and grow. And I'd like to just be able to contribute to that. So it's great to be with all of you.
Thank you, Susan. Claudia.
Thank you.
Claudia, the floor is yours. Welcome.
Thank you. I asked to be on this committee because I have an interest, because I am a senior citizen who is what's the word, Isabel?
Cost burden renter? Is that
No,
right?
a renter that is paying more than they can afford.
I think that's cost burdened.
I never heard that word before. Rent, there's a rent, Andrew knows the word.
Sorry.
Anyway, I've been looking for housing that was much more affordable in Little Compton, and it doesn't exist at this point. And so I'm very interested for seniors, for elders, and especially for young couples who are just starting out, especially kids who have grown up in Little Compton but can't afford to live here once they're out and married and are having kids, and getting kids into Wilbur School. And for people who are serving the community but can't afford to live here. I think it's important to have housing for all of our groups, and that's why I'm on the committee. I'm a widow and I have 8 kids, and we've 3 seasoned in Little Compton for over 30 years. So after my husband died, I started renting here. Well, I owned a house for a year or so, but now I'm renting. And so that's why I'm here. Oh, and I was a photojournalist for a city newspaper for over 20 years.
Would that,
So
be a
that's
city would that be a city in Rhode Island?
No, Worcester,
Oh, very good. Very
Worcester
good.
Telegram.
All right, well, welcome to you both. And I'll thank you in advance for the work that we'll load you with. We
This is
look
gonna
forward
be
to working
fun.
with you. Yeah, we look forward to working with you. That would bring us to item number 4 on this evening's docket, which is selection of a new treasurer. As I had mentioned, Joan Shamshoyan, who served on this board for many years and also served as treasurer, has stepped down. And with that, I guess, Isabel, I would defer to you in the event that you have anything to say in this regard initially.
Does anybody want to be treasurer?
No,
That was well said, by the way. Yeah, that was well said. Bob, do you have any comments regarding treasurer of this fine body?
Well, I'll tell you, I'm still having health issues, so I have to respectively decline at this point in time of consideration. So it's down to 2 folks.
Well, no, I guess we could vote Andrew in.
oh, yeah, he's good.
He is a good treasurer.
He's the liaison. Can you hold 2 positions?
Yes.
So I might only bring up that perhaps this vote might be delayed until the next month's meeting or the next month at which Andrew might be present. For the simple fact that I value his opinions on this, and though I kind of said it off the cuff, perhaps he would be the ideal candidate in this regard.
Yes.
I don't mean to disregard Claudia or Susan at the present time, but I think that perhaps Andrew's opinion on this could be valuable, and then it may be worth waiting until he is present at a meeting. Any thoughts on that?
I have one question. What's the status of Matthew at this point in time?
It is my understanding that he's still a member of the Little Compton Housing Trust. No, he did in fact express a desire to be replaced. I don't know that officially that is the case. So I can reach out to Matthew this month, and we'll see officially how he stands.
Right.
But I think in terms of the town record, he would still officially be a member of this body.
Right. Because he is still the vice president, and so therefore it's a double issue with him. I can't hear you.
So could we have a motion regarding the selection of a new treasurer to delay that vote until next month's meeting?
So moved.
Do we have a second on that?
I'll second that.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
By unanimous consent, we will delay the vote on that treasurer. And in that regard, I will reach out to Matt Ladd this month. Which brings us to number 5 on this evening's agenda, which is an update on the proposal that we've been reviewing with Housing Works Rhode Island. And to refresh our memory, we are in the process of discussions with Housing Works Rhode Island. And in fact, I believe we have voted to contract with them to do a survey of residents in the town of Little Compton relative to affordable housing. Isabel, correct me if I'm wrong, we did vote to approve the contract with them.
We did.
Okay.
Yep. I do have an update on that if you'd like it.
Oh, by all means, yeah.
The contract has been submitted to the town administrator, and I think it's been signed. I'm not 100% sure on that, but Housing Works did submit that contract officially to the town administrator in the past week or so. So the ball's rolling.
They
Okay.
talked about that at the town council meeting, and Bob Mushin agreed that it sounded like a good idea.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
Is there a copy of that you can share with all of us?
Yes, definitely.
Thank you.
That came, I got that news after the agenda was already posted, so, but I can definitely share that now.
So that would sound like good news, and I guess we would await then further information from Andrew or from Housing Works Rhode Island as that evolves.
Yeah, I would just like to tell everyone, I consider Brenda Clement to be a good friend, and I was on the Housing Works board for many years because it was originally funded by Rhode Island Housing and the Rhode Island Foundation and the United Way. So we all jointly formed a board to form Housing Works, which was then just before I retired, I think it was then kind of spun off to Roger Williams University in order to make sure that it was operating as an independent, organization that would, have data that was independently researched and, very credible. And I think that they've done a very good job of producing housing information and do have a lot of credibility. I had a brief conversation with Brenda before the first time she met with the Housing Trust. She did call me to, just sound me out if I knew what was going on or whatever, and just said, it'd be great for her to come down and meet with all of you. Haven't had any conversation with her since, so I'm not sure where things stand and what's in your contract, but I do think that they do some very good work.
It's nice to be reassured, and I think what your reassurance is what many of us have thought for some time, and I think we're excited to enter into this contract and to fulfill a large part of what it is we're charged with doing, that being obtaining information about the needs of affordable housing. So yeah, I look forward to working with them further. Anything else regarding that contract or the proposal with Housing Works Rhode Island?
Is there an idea about the timing of when the survey would be done?
See if I can pull that up in my notes.
Yeah, do you think that would include the summer residents?
I think it might include residents. So if anyone owns a home in the town, I suspect that they will be able to weigh in. Now, it could be limited to registered voters also, but I don't know that we've gone to the detail to isolate one group over another.
Okay.
The contract does include interviews with people in town. Some of those people would be town officials. Others would be individuals of some significance in the community or some recognized significance in the community. And we do have the ability, I understand, to determine who those individuals would be.
It looks like they expect to be completed with the survey portion by June.
Oh,
Or by the end of June.
I don't know. I don't know that I'd hold them fast to that. Only insofar as, schedules have been delayed, as we all know, due to the pandemic. So I guess from a contractual standpoint, perhaps they might be bound, but I would suggest that we could review that if need be.
I think so. And I'll make sure to share the document and I'll post it to as a public document for in our public document place.
All right, which brings us to item number 6 on this evening's agenda, which is with regard, actually, Isabel, is this something that you'd like to speak to?
Sure, yeah. So we have an election coming up, a special election in Rhode Island coming up for a number of bond referenda And one of them is a statewide allocation of, I forget the number, but it's in the thing I wrote for you all to look at,
About $65 million.
for housing related projects across the state. We don't currently have a proposal in for any of that money specifically for our community, but I've just felt that as our community's housing advocates, that it would be appropriate for us to share out a statement encouraging our community to vote in support of that that budget question, which is going to be coming up on the election is on March 2nd. I think the portion of time to request a mail ballot has just passed, but people can still vote in person early or at the polls. And I did double check that it doesn't, there's some limitations on 501c3 organizations and political speech, but because this isn't, there's no person as a political candidate, this does fall under something that we're allowed to publicly support. So I checked on that first. And we are allowed to weigh in on it. So I sent out some proposed language for what could be just a little blurb in the paper to help educate our community on the upcoming election and to encourage them to vote yes on the number 3, which is the housing bond question, which is the one that I think is relevant to our work.
So for the purposes of the record, I'm happy to read what has been written here in terms of what we're asking to be published. Little Compton Housing Trust encourages our community to vote yes on number 3. On Tuesday, March 2nd, 2021, Rhode Islanders will have the opportunity to vote in a special election to approve a set of bonds. Little Compton Housing Trust encourages our community to vote yes on question number 3, housing and community opportunity. This item would allot $65 million to increase available funds to support housing affordability and community revitalization through redevelopment, construction, and property acquisition for affordable housing statewide. This essential funding would help communities across Rhode Island invest in meaningful work to increase housing affordability and support long-term community sustainability and diversity. Voters can vote by mail early, in person, or at polling places on or before Tuesday, March 2nd, 2021. We've been asked to,
Sounds good.
I beg your
Go,
pardon?
please.
I'm sorry, Sue, would you mind repeating that?
I was just going to make a motion that we approve that. I think it's a great statement.
I would like to oppose that, quite frankly.
Okay.
This is a request to increase the debt of the state, and I don't think we should be getting involved with making decisions to recommend that we increase the debt of the state. It's a political statement. I think we should stay away from it. I can't hear anybody.
Does anyone else have anything to say in that regard?
I disagree with Bob. I think this
Okay.
is why we're here. We're here to acquire funds for the housing and to oversee how it gets used and stuff.
But the proposal that we're voting on is to increase the state debt by $66 million.
Right.
That's 65 million.
$65 million. So,
Noteworthy also that this is one of numerous bonds or motions that are going to be voted on, questions that will be voted on.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
the state debt could in fact increase dramatically more than $65 million.
yeah.
I think that the state treasurer's office has determined that the state can afford that amount of debt, and certainly there'll be lots of people who have opinions one way or the other on that. But I think as a housing trust that we maybe should focus on the housing issue, and the state seems to feel, and the General Assembly who approved that bond issue to be on the ballot have determined that they think that they can afford it. But I think more importantly, it's the housing issue. And I think it would be really good for the Housing Trust to have a message out there in the public, and it just kind of brings the Housing Trust to the public's, to, you know, residents' attention that there is a housing trust in Little Compton and that we have an opinion about this.
I also think that we've seen that one of the big barriers to getting projects rolling in our community historically has been a lack of access to funding. And I think that's true across the state. And I think it's something that's worth the state putting some investment behind. And certainly this proposal does show that the General Assembly and the state leadership is interested in investing in this, even in a time when budgets are tightening up. And I feel that we are our community's housing advocates. And so that's why I feel strongly about encouraging support of this referendum.
You know, the state of Rhode Island is going to be seriously challenged monetarily because of COVID-19. And to encourage an additional $65 million of debt in the face of that, I think is not prudent. If I could think of a better way of putting it. So.
I think also the renters of Rhode Island are going to be significantly challenged by COVID-19 as well.
Sure, I know.
And I think it's really important that we, at the same time, if we're going to stretch to support folks that need to be housed, I think it's worth it. That's my opinion.
I think that's, I would agree with some who have spoken to this to say that it is in fact our job as a affordable housing trust to advocate for funding and for the needs of those who need affordable housing. And by recommending such, we're not effectively spending $65 million. We're just advocating for that and recommending that anyone who cares in the same way perhaps would vote to approve that. I can see where you're coming from, Bob, because most of the time when I read questions, I think about my wallet first, but this is an important thing. And I think the COVID-19 pandemic has affected those at the bottom of the ladder the most. And that $6,000 in funding that went into the building department coffers this month came from houses being built in this town, most of which I would say were third houses, or second, or fourth houses even, for many of the individuals who are building them, which is certainly their right and their prerogative to do so. And I don't take anything away from that. But there are a lot of people who have no house. And I think it's our job to advocate for those. So we do have a motion to approve this question, or to recommend that voters of Little Compton approve question 3. Is there a second on that?
Claudia did make a second.
By roll call vote. Susan Boddington,
Vote to approve.
Isabel Mattia,
Vote to approve.
Bob Rotman,
I oppose it. I vote to not approve it.
Claudia McNeil.
Vote to approve.
I will vote to approve as well.
Okay. I couldn't hear you say, Isabel.
I missed that, sorry.
I'm looking at you on Zoom, and I can see the people talking. I can't hear you sometimes. So.
Oh, I'm sorry. I voted yes.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. Isabel, is there a means by which you can have that published? It's a Secana Times, I'm thinking you are intending to.
Yes, that was my intention, just to send it to the Secana Times.
Would there be a fee for publishing that?
No, I think if we just send it as a press release, they'll send it out.
You see how big the Secana Times is? You see how big the Secana Times is? They'll take anything.
This is big news.
Is that something that you feel comfortable just being able to send them and take care of?
Oh, yes, absolutely. And I will not use the word unanimous vote, Bob. I respect your opinion. So I
Okay.
won't include that phrase.
Okay.
Should I? Well, never mind. I'll take care of it.
Thank you, Isabel. Moving on to item number 7, which is correspondence. I have here that there was no correspondence this month. I might inquire with the anyone else who might be viewing. Carol, would you have any record of anyone else who is listening to this meeting or participating via Zoom?
There is no one else signed into the Zoom.
Very good, thank you.
Our usual participant has been upgraded to a panelist.
Very good, very good. Yeah, are there any other issues that we can discuss here that anyone would like to raise?
Not I.
Oh, I have one small thing, which is that suddenly I realized that there's a good chance I might need a little secretary support in the next month or two. All of a sudden, my due date is approaching. I'm gonna have a baby probably in between our next, hopefully after our next meeting and before the following one. So I might need a little note-taking help coming up. So I'll just kind of put that up on everybody's radar.
Congratulations to you.
Thank
Everyone
you.
will be happy to help in that plan.
That's great. I can do that.
Cool. Thank you so much, Mrs. McNeil.
All right, very good.
Hopefully I'll be able to do it, but I just, I don't know. We'll see.
There may be other priorities.
Yes.
Carol,
Yes,
I have a question for you. This is needs to fill out an annual report, and it's coming up pretty soon, isn't it?
it's usually it's in the spring, June, I think, maybe.
Okay.
It-
Just to let
it
you know,
hasn't-
Isabel, it's a pain in the neck to do that. If you need to do it, I have a spreadsheet that I've used that I would be more than happy to do it for you for the year, because this is a pain in the neck. And since it's a 1 year to year, it takes forever to Liz how to do it. So if you want me to do it for you, just give me a call. I'll take care of it for you.
Thank you so much, Bob. I appreciate that.
All right. Well, that will bring us around to our final item on the agenda tonight. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Unanimous
Wow,
consent.
that was fast.
There you go, Carol.
Thank you to everybody. Carol, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Carol. Yes.
It's
You're
nice to
welcome.
meet you, Bob.
Okay, you too. All you too. I can see you on the screen. I'm sorry I didn't log in, but I don't have a camera for my computer, and I've got it on a phone, which is about 1 inch square. So